You're live.
Yes.
Welcome. Welcome, everyone. All dozen of you. Yeah. It starts slow, but it builds. Here's Gary's Guitars weekly guitar talk. Our get together, talk about guitar and guitar-y things. Let's see. Peter Squiers is back. This is his second appearance as a guest host. People were so.
Look out, Gary.
Yeah, look out. He's gunning for you. I don't think Gary's watching. Gary doesn't watch this when Gary's probably like, you can have it.
Yeah, seriously.
No, that's but our last the last time guest hosted, it got some good response. People were like, yeah, I like that. I like the rapport. So we got rapport.
I like you too.
The camera loves you, Peter.
I've been told that so many times.
So the concept here is you all hang out and write stuff in the comments. Ask us questions, chime in on what we're talking about. If you're watching this after the fact, which most of the watchers do, leave a comment anyways, and we'll get back to it or readdress something if it comes up. First of all, Bob Sullivan says hi. Hello, Bob. Your Martin is ready, by the way. I just finished it up before closing, so stop on by. So yeah, chime in, say hi, and we will go from there. Peter has a Instagram. It's just Instagram for now?
Yep.
Instagram called 60-Second Pedal Demos. So if you're not watching this on your phone, if you're watching this on a computer, you can pick up your phone and open Instagram and find that, because it's pretty cool. It's exactly as advertised.
That's right. It's I find I work well with a concept, a gimmick,
Yeah.
and the 60-second limitation on Instagram for the short videos that show up in the feed. I was like, all right, that can be my angle, because I decided I wanted to do pedal demos, but it's like, well, I'm not an especially good guitar player, and I don't have especially good recording equipment, and I don't have any video editing experience. So how can I do this in a super low maintenance way, in a way that's, in bite-sized chunks, So, but it's good. It's fun. It's been going well. Once in a while, I get some good feedback from the pedal makers.
Yeah,
I always find that.
I
always find that to be especially rewarding when they say they like the demo. I had only one case where they said your pedal's broken,
which is even better.
Yeah,
you're the guy I should talk to.
Yeah, thanks for telling me.
Thanks for letting me know. Can you fix
Clearly,
it?
I bought this used. Yeah. So check it out. It's a fun time.
Yeah, 60-second pedal demos. And are you good at hashtagging and all that stuff there too? I'm not good at that.
I've been trying to get better at
it.
What I should do is just copy and paste the whole spiel of
hashtags
hashtags
every time. Yeah, that's what
but instead I don't. I just type them in each time, and I'm trying to remember hashtag guitar gear, hashtag guitar.
But then you got to open the notepad thing to copy and paste it, because it won't necessarily be in your clipboard every time.
So
it is, I'm
still learning, but
And this is this right here is a work in progress too. We're just like, let's just do a live thing. We'll find out later, if it works.
This isn't the well-oiled machine
this
version.
Is not the well-oiled machine that you might think is happening.
Couldn't tell by watching, that's for sure.
All right, so let's go back to. So Bob says now, no, Bob, you can't pick up your guitar now. We're busy, but it'll be ready from 10 to 6 tomorrow. Michael Sullivan says hi. James Green says hi from Sydney. Good day to Sydney, or good night. No, it's night.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah.
Good morning, Sydney.
It's tomorrow there.
Yeah, it's the land of tomorrow. Yeah. Trembuckers. Do we care? That's his.
I don't know what that is.
Trembuckers. Is it a humbucker that has some kind of
cuts in and out?
Yeah. Please let us know about trembuckers, James, because this is news to both of us.
Never heard of it.
And if Gary were here, he'd certainly never heard of it. Gary is the stick in the mud.
He likes the old stuff.
He likes, So apparently we don't care here in North America.
Yeah, or we don't even know enough to care.
Yeah. So let us know.
Ignorance is bliss.
We could be missing out on something.
Right.
Big.
Yeah. I love them. I don't know what they are, but I think they're great.
So what we usually do is we get started with some of our own topics. And I said, since Peter's got the this is going somewhere. Since Peter's got the Instagram for the pedals, And I got some pedals, and we got some pedals here for sale in the store. Let's talk about pedals.
Yeah.
And of course, some favorites. And so I said, bring a few favorite pedals. I'm going to bring a few favorite pedals. We'll talk about what makes them great.
Show and tell.
Yes.
All right. Do you want to start or should I?
You start with one. Yeah.
Okay. So here's one I just got the other day from a small builder called L&H. This is the same guy who builds Critter Electronics pedals, which is, I mean, it's a one-man shop as far as I can tell. But so I don't know what was the idea behind having two separate brands for the same builder. But anyway, I really, really like the way this pedal looks. It's basically a Super Fuzz clone. And I have actually not super enjoyed the Super Fuzz as like an archetype because of that. Like when you turn the fuzz all the way up, it gets into that like octave fuzz kind of range. Nuts, and it's just like, it doesn't really work for my style of playing. But what I have found with this one is with the gain almost all the way down, it really nails that Stooges tone.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I found myself just playing Seek and Destroy over and over again. Search and Destroy.
Search and Destroy. Yeah.
Seek and Destroy was the Metallica song. Yeah. So yeah, L&H pedals. They're a small builder, but check them out. And the Critter Electronics pedals are also very, very beautiful and seem to be focused on like clones.
Sometimes the clones will get to their sound in a different way, and it sometimes that either creates a new design flaw or eliminates a design flaw.
Yeah.
So that can be cool.
And if nothing else, it's, new components. It's, that it'll actually work. Whereas if you buy a Super Fuzz from like 1970, it's it's hit or miss.
Especially like some of those old transistors just catch fire.
Right. And the old pedals were like gigantic because it was a whole new idea.
Yeah.
They
had to be giant. Who would think you could make something that small? Nothing was this small.
Yeah.
In 1975.
Yeah.
There was nothing that was the size of
But this is more or less the rat enclosure, which is
it's a generic enclosure that you can get. So but they dolled it up nicely.
I think it's a nice
brushed metal with.
I like the graphic, the representing fuzz as little lightning bolts that just fits.
Oh yeah.
So it's pretty to look at. It's sounds cool. And,
James Green chime back in. It's an F-style Fender spacing. Wider than the standard trembuckers or humbuckers, it probably means. Seymour Duncan thing, wider than standard humbuckers. So it's a like on the old Fender Tele Deluxe. The like screws are
wide
away from each other.
Wide range.
So just no. The actual two coils aren't as close as on a Gibson style humbucker.
Okay.
So I guess someone made one of these assumably and decided to put them in Gibson style guitars or something like that. Anyways, it's kind of new to us, but Seymour Duncan, I've come to appreciate Seymour. We became a Seymour Duncan dealer a couple years ago now, and I had to choose DiMaggio or Seymour Duncan. At the time, I was like, they're both popular replacement pickups. We have boutique pickups here. This is the Stonewall, of course. We have Fender stuff. That's all cool. But we need another brand. And so I was like, maybe Seymour Duncan. And then when I got into Seymour Duncan, I'm like, this stuff is great. This guy's a genius.
Huh. Yeah, I don't really have strong pickup opinions except for my one favorite. This is unhelpful to the question and not related to Seymour Duncan. But I love the G&L magnetic field design pickups. They just sound so beefy. And so I've got an S500 and an SC3, which I'll probably sell soon.
So hit up 60-second pedal demos on Instagram.
And you can find the link to my Reverb page. But because I don't need both; they're redundant. But I love that like beefy single coil sound.
Mike in Hungary has chimed in. I don't know did I tell you about Mike. He's an old friend from way back. He used to work on guitars at the Guitar Warehouse when like in the 80s and stuff. He just picked up and moved to Hungary. We talked to him about now he's watching the show, and he says I have a new line of pickups called the Trendbucker. But also, when I read that, I'm reading this off a tablet over the side. I saw that Mike wrote it. and I couldn't quite. And I know Mike has a sense of humor, so I thought it said the turd bucker, which that might be.
Well,
a pretty cool...
doesn't Scott at Stonewall have a mud bucker?
The mud bucker,
So
yeah,
that's
right,
kind of like the butt bucker.
The turd, yeah. Anyways, thanks for chiming in there, Mike. And then
can I share an unmusic related story that just happened today?
Oh, okay.
My
sure.
3.5-year-old son learned the word butthead today, and I've never heard anyone laugh so hard in my whole life. The UPS driver called my dog a butthead, and my son was still laughing about it an hour later. So just appreciate
these are the
novelty.
Right. Yeah. Put that now. You have your son or future archaeologist, your son's children or whatever will see this and get that
now on this date. 2021.
When AI rewrites all of our history. So just to catch up for a second here, Holy Hand Grenade says, not Holy, he says, what's up? Jim is asking about the fuzz pedal, whether it has stereo out.
No.
Does it have a stereo out?
No, but it has a, the red thing is the power source. Yeah.
Seymour Duncan effects pedals are pretty underappreciated. Yeah, I would say, of course, MXR is made by Duncan now. And
no, they're made by Dunlop.
Oh, Dunlop, sorry. Seymour Duncan's effects pedals are what ones?
They have a fuzz. I forget what it's called, but it's got like a rotary switch on it for the different sort of like bandwidths. They have they have like a tube screamer-ish style.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't think that there's one that's sort of like the most famous.
Yeah.
Oh, they've got a like a high gain distortion that I think is pretty well. I don't know if it's popular. It's expensive. I looked into buying one and I didn't.
It must be, yeah.
It must be good, yeah. But they make pedals and I think that they're pretty good quality. But I don't think that they have one that's like the flagship pedal. Yeah,
I guess I haven't played through one. I think ever. Now I think about it, I'm just trying to think of if we ever. So they're but pickup wise, they're some really interesting stuff coming out of there. And it's a nice bunch of guys, too. They're nice on the phone.
It's good to know.
Vapor Trail Delay. That's probably one of theirs.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Okay.
I bet it's awesome.
So I think we've caught up with the chat.
Should we
so I'm continue? Go on to, yeah. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to start with one. Because this is a pedal that brings us together, Peter. Because when I pretty much first met you, you came to the studio to work with Guy or someone, and one of our mutual friends. And I was like, you're like, oh, I need a distortion pedal because you're playing through a basement head.
Right.
And I was like, try this one. And it's the Box of Rock from Zvex.
Oh, what a classic. I think it's a real contender for if you could only have one.
Yeah, desert island
pedal. Yeah. Now that would be torturous if you could only have one. But if you could only have one, that would be a great choice.
So you try this out and you're like, I got to get one. And you got one.
I got one.
Came back
and then I sold it and I bought another one.
So this is a 2-stage. This was the first good 2-stage I ever had. So basically it has a clean boost and then a distortion, both of which will get you somewhere. And then you can, because it's so close together, you can double stomp it and just go nuts.
Well, what would be really cool, not that I can tell Zachary Vex anything about how to make a pedal, but if you could choose the order of the two so that you could use the boost either as a volume booster or as a gain booster, but just get two of them. And the boost side is really good. It's just such a nice beefy sounding boost.
So what was the pedal that we had in here? Did you try it out? It was a fuzz or something? Was it? It was a Zvex pedal.
But the Fuzz Factory?
Yeah. It was insane.
It's insane. I actually I owned one, sold it, and just bought it again, which I've done probably a million times with different pedals. But that pedal's insane. You can get really good sounds out of it, but you can also get just completely unwieldy.
Like unwieldy, and it goes from good to unwieldy with just a little knob move. Yeah. It just gets out of parameters. Someone brought it in to trade in. And I'm like, I think this is broken. I don't think we can buy this. It goes, no, it's supposed to do that. Like that. And we're like, all right. So my this pedal's also been modified. If you notice, the first knob is a different knob, so I can really keep in mind that this is a pedal and that's a pedal.
Oh, you did that intentionally so that you could tell them apart?
Not necessarily tell you, really just keep my mind, like keep that divided off. Don't, because like when you're playing it and you just reach down to make an adjustment or something.
Right.
You don't want to accidentally grab the boost knob instead of the volume knob
And turn it up super loud, yeah.
But your volume knob should be the first one or something, And so, like, I really just had to make that distinction. So that's the only modification I made to it. But I recommend it highly. You can still get them for decent, they're in the used market.
Yeah,
decent. Yeah.
The second one that I bought is they've started making vertical versions of their pedals because I guess as people are more concerned about pedal board real estate, that kind of layout doesn't really work with any other brand's pedals. So they've started making vertical versions. So I now have the vertical Box of Rock and the vertical Fuzz Factory. Vertical
Box of Rock. Actually, and it does sit weirdly on my pedal board, but I just happened to have something that was too big. I have a really nicely cobbled together pedal board, and it actually worked out that it was the wrong.
Well, for the vertical version, you were talking about the buttons being close enough together you can step on them both. In the vertical, they're actually a little too close together.
Yeah, you can. Get your toes out. Yeah.
But other than that, it's awesome. It's a great pedal.
Okay, the Chase Bliss ZVEX collaboration was great. The Bliss Factory, a fuzz factory that you could save presets on.
Yeah, Chase Bliss pedals are super high tech. I've never owned one. They're a little out of my price range. But they're just like, have you seen that pedal that has the like sliders on it and you can basically like preset all these settings on it and you step on the pedal and the sliders start moving by themselves.
It's automation.
So there was this what was that for? Was it like the pedal movie that Reverb put out? And then there a bunch of companies collaborated on these limited run pedals, and that was I think the Chase Bliss guy used to work for ZVEX, and so they teamed up together and they released a small run.
$900 according to Michael. So on the chat,
I'm good.
I'm okay on that.
I did just buy, actually, I got it delivered today. I haven't even tried out yet. A limited run collaboration pedal called the Speed Tripper, which is a collaboration of Death by Audio and Levitation pedals. And it's like a delay with a phaser in the feedback loop.
Oh, okay.
So I think you're going to be pretty trippy, but they had sold 666 of them. So
Ibanez has actually did a run of 666 of their pedal but they're Buddhist, so that doesn't really,
right. Yeah, that's become a hot new trend.
So much,
It's become a hot new trend lately. The limited run pedals that are like selling out immediately and then becoming collector's items.
Yeah, kind of record store day stuff. But heck, they're having fun at least.
Why not? Yeah, I mean, I'll probably sell it eventually, Yeah. But that's true of all the pedals I own.
So I do want to do a little callback here. Garrett's Guitars. You're watching the Garrett's Guitars Weekly Guitar Talk. We talk about anything you want to talk about to do with guitars, but we're talking a lot about pedals today because Peter is known for his pedals.
I'm a pedal guy.
60-second pedal demos on Instagram, and we have 100 pedals here in the store for sale. So that's more than Guitar Center has. People come in and go, oh my God.
Yeah, and I guess they are locked in a case here, but at least there's someone friendly to
help you.
No
try
offense
them out,
to the employees at Guitar Center. But.
No, they shop here, so we like them.
Speaking of the pedals on stock here, one of them just caught my eye. Is that Stereo Chorus vintage?
Just came in. Yes.
Can we grab
Let's
it?
Have a look at it.
You can tell it's vintage because it has that big old.
It has the power cord on it.
Cool.
Oh, it's heavy.
Oh. Look at that thing.
The MXR Stereo Chorus. Yeah, I know.
And my head's huge.
That's the original MXR made in New York.
That's awesome. $249. You can't afford not to.
Yeah,
such a deal.
That's you could buy 4 of these and have money left over instead of buying the
Chase Bliss.
So think about that.
That's really
cool. It's also the same canary yellow that the Distortion Plus uses. I don't know if that's a coincidence. They just happen to.
They had an extra. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's all. It is what it advertises to be.
In and out on the same side is a little bit interesting.
They just didn't. There was no standard yet. Yeah.
Well, I guess if you turn it so it's vertical, then this is like having the
yeah, on the top.
Yeah.
Top controls. Yeah. But which would be a cool way to put it. But then you gotta so it's worth it's if it has to run off of AC power.
Yeah.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. That's how you can tell it's been around.
The serious
It's in really
stuff.
good condition.
Which
now.
actually I have a pedal that I'm going to discuss later. The other one I want to bring up, it has a big grounded AC cable on it. So yeah, it is in very good condition. Comes with a box. He's got the box.
Well, that presents me with a nice segue. Mm-hmm. So he's got the box jingle is from the JHS YouTube channel. So JHS made a big ruckus this week because they released their they've done a couple of these pedals that have like they have one called the Muffaletta that has like every different big muff circuit in it.
Oh, okay.
They released one called the Bonsai that has every different tube screamer in it.
Mm-hmm.
So they released one this week called the Rat Pack that has every single version of the Rat in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they made all of a sudden all of the pedal channels were demoing the Rat Pack and doing all their rat focused content. So I wanted to hold up.
Oh,
this is a localish company that I actually also shouted out the last time I was on this show called Black Mass. They are based in Salem, and this is their multi-version rat pedal called 1312. Mm-hmm. And it's obviously they have a pronounced political stance that not everyone here might share, but that's okay. But it's a rat pedal with a bunch, like 8 different clipping options in it. And it sounds awesome. It has an internal charge pump that boosts it from 9 volts to 18 volts. So it's really high headroom.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And just a totally awesome.
Interesting. Yeah. How many settings does it have? You said
8, I think.
Okay,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yep. And pretty awesome pedal. Awesome company. Check them out. They donate a significant portion of the profits from this pedal to some worthy organizations. So check out Black Mass pedals. You can also get it in pink, which I really debated doing, but I just have a thing for gold pedals. So that was my show and tell round 2. If you're in the market for a multi-function rat, go for that one instead of the JHS one.
The funny thing is the rat was such an economical pedal.
Right.
It was Proco was eventually it was really a generic brand.
Right.
It was when you bought their stuff, because you couldn't afford the $99 for the MXR.
Right.
And it was $69 for the rat. And so
do you have any old rats?
I do. I got a couple. Yeah. I actually sold one here, and I was like, I should have just kept it.
If you ever think about selling another
rat. No, I have a couple, just because they used to be everywhere.
Right.
Yeah. And they're all different. I think different. Each batch was different, even in the same enclosure.
Yeah.
They just behave differently and stuff like that.
Yeah, they still are everywhere. It's just that the old ones are now, held in high regard.
Because Proco still makes stuff.
Yeah, Rat too. And I actually just they've made some nice variations. They made one that addresses several of my qualms with the rat called the Lil Rat. And it is small. Obviously, it's Lil. It has a regular power input instead of that dorky one that requires a adapter. It has a regular size, and it doesn't have the feet on the bottom, so you can just put it flat on your pedal board.
Yeah.
I really enjoy the Little Rat.
Interesting. We have the Wrath somewhere around here.
That's another brand's take on the Rat.
Yeah, it's WRAT.
Yeah. Got it.
Yeah. It's a little joke there, I guess. I don't know.
Good one.
Whoo! Are you out there? I know you're out there. I can hear you leaving.
Tough crowd.
Whoa. Okay, JHS rat pedal is $249, which is not bad considering it's all the rats.
That's true.
Yeah, and when you now here's I guess this brings me to my next pedal show and tell. I get skeptical when something does too much because it just means it's how can it really reproduce all these different things.
Well, they did an Instagram post where they showed the insides of it, and it's like it's actually all the different circuits. Yeah. So it's cool. I have nothing against JHS pedals. I'm just saying, like, that guy is a major pedal monopoly man, and this, if you can get a similar idea, get it from a small builder that's doing good. But nothing. I love JHS, especially. I'm actually not crazy about their pedals, but I'm a big fan of the YouTube channel. So.
Yeah, it's well done. Yeah, and which is good. All right. So I'm going to talk about my other pedal here that I want to talk about today.
Ooh, another one with a plug.
And this has so first of all, it has a power cord.
Ooh.
It's 3-prong. It's the DoD analog delay. And this is going to bring up a couple of things. One is analog or digital delay. Which way do you go? Which way do you dangle?
I swing analog.
You swing on the analog?
I like my decay to decay, you know?
Yeah, you like that natural fall off. That,
yeah.
From,
the digital just sort of sounds too clean for me. I'm a rough around the edges sort of.
So I have both.
Yeah.
And they both have their place, I think.
Yeah.
But what this does brilliantly, and why analog delay is an important thing, and why digital delay can't do the thing, is it muddies up it just can't help but mangle the repeat. It's like a photocopy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a photograph of your sound. It's a photocopy of your sound.
Interesting.
So when the note comes back, it already isn't the same thing.
Right.
And so, but that is what I want. That's the Electro-Harmonix one. What do they call it? The Memory Man?
Yeah.
Yeah. That does that wonderfully as well.
And they just released a little itty bitty Memory Man.
I think I got one.
Really?
I might have gotten one.
I might buy it.
Because I had the Memory Boy, the Memory Toy, and then when they did a smaller
Memory
Man.
Deluxe Nano.
Yeah.
Though I just spent a lot of money on a pedal called the Clockwork by J Rocket Pedals.
Mm-hmm.
That's apparently like it's a Memory Man Deluxe in their own enclosure with sort of modern features.
Oh yeah, right.
So
right.
if I bought that and then bought the Memory Man, it would be
too much delay for a week. Yeah, but not unheard of. So the other thing I'll say about this is it has two outputs. It has its remote mix and local mix. And so it actually sends out to two different things. And what you can do is by setting them, you can do the Jimmy Page trick, which is send your clean signal to 1 amp and your repeated signal to another amp. So what Jimmy Page did was he got a Echoplex and he sent it to 2 different amps. And that way it sounded like a double track guitar.
And you just set the time so that it's close enough.
Pretty close, but there is a flam.
Yeah.
That's something cool. Like bam, bam, bam. And I think he would use that live primarily to thicken up his sound where he couldn't double track live. Right. Obviously, it's a thick sounding band, and you got to keep up with John Paul Jones.
Yeah, seriously, and, John Bonham.
Yeah. So
actually, I have a story about this pedal as well, which is
this
particular one.
Ooh.
I bought a guitar once, and in the case of the guitar was the owner's manual of that pedal.
Yeah.
Oh. And so, being an industrious young lad, I decided to just post the owner's manual itself on Reverb, and I got like $10 for it. So
it's pedal collecting, because pedals are so collectible. I think that's the thing that really made the pedal thing jump off. Is not everyone needs pedals, but it's just a little thing you can buy for $100 that's collectible.
It scratches that same itch as being a little kid playing with your blocks.
Yeah, or Legos or whatever. Yeah,
train set or whatever.
Wampler makes a mini rat, the Rat's Bane.
Cool.
Okay.
Wampler also makes good YouTube videos and is good at explaining complicated concepts.
Mm-hmm. Have not seen that YouTube channel.
It's not as highly produced, not nearly as highly produced
as this
JHS.
one.
It's more akin to this one. Yeah.
No.
But yeah, he's clearly a smart guy.
Mm-hmm. So I had a choice. I could either do it or wait to do it right. And so I was like, just do it.
Just do it.
I've got the orange DoD flanger to match that delay. The 670 might be the model. All right. Those are some pretty cool stuff. The old stuff, it just, and some of it's just legend, like, oh, my old delay, is better than your new Memory Man or whatever. But it's just whatever you like the sound of, whatever.
So if you wanted to have like a pedal board full of those, I guess people didn't really do that.
Yeah, right at the time, like I have a whole board.
You would have to have a power strip.
Yeah, exactly. It's pretty easy. You don't need a power
70
strip.
pounds.
You just go to Walmart and spend the $4 on the power strip, and you don't need a power supply. You save money there.
That would look awesome, though.
It would if you got a giant pedal board with giant pedals on them.
Yeah, totally.
And show up at the gig with that. Like, I need you to get all this stuff out of here. The opener is coming in to put down his pedal board.
Yeah. Takes up half the stage.
Yeah. So yeah, early DoD. So I'm old enough to remember when DoD and MXR was all there was. Boss DoD MXR or go go
do something else.
How do you say this without being
go
offensive?
Find yourself.
Yeah, go find yourself. Go forth and multiply, but not in those words.
Go kick rocks.
Yeah.
Well, Proco was they were
Yeah.
pretty early back then, but yeah, the Rat came out the same year as the DS1.
Yeah, but it also was like they're kind of like, oh, let's, because they were mostly Proco is interconnects, direct boxes, preamps. They made little preamps, and they're just like, let's take a preamp and make it go nuts. Okay, and that was the Rat, I think. So they were an inventive little company, but they were kind of like CBI is now too. Just they were mostly making accessories,
and they still do, right? I mean, other than
Probably,
the Rat, I don't think they make any. I mean, they make other pedals that are versions of the Rat, basically, but I don't think they make. They don't
They're
make
not
a delay
primarily a pedal company. No, they just make. They go with what you know.
I'm also a Major League Rat fan, and it's another contender for if you could only have one, because I've actually only recently learned about the lower gain benefits of the Rat, that it can be used as kind of a nice sounding overdrive. Because my inclination when I have a Rat ever since I was a teenager is just crank it, because it has that sort of like almost on the edge of fuzz sound, and it's so explosive.
Yeah,
I love it.
So anyways, I was telling my old man pedal story. I remember when there was just all, but DoD pedals were like, first of all, DoD pedals cost like $10 or $20 more than the MXR.
Huh.
So you had to like spend a little more money on DoD. It was
Do you
like
think that was just their way of saying we're better?
Yeah, I think so.
Huh.
I think it was a conscious thing, or, then of course the Ibanez series of pedals made by Maxon. Those came in early and hot. But that was something, they weren't.
Speaking of which, here's my next show and tell, the Maxon DNS2. So I have a story. I bought this pedal by accident. So I'm a big fan of big muffs, and I was doing some big muff research and found that there was Maxon's version of the Ram's Head big muff circuit at the time was called the DNS, which is Distortion and Sustain. And then they, at some point later than that, released. So that's what I thought I was buying.
Okay.
And at some point later than that, they released the DNS2, which has nothing in common with the DNS. It looks almost exactly the same, but it is a completely different pedal. But lucky for me, I really like the way it sounds. It says Distortion, but it's really only at the most cranked level would I call it Distortion.
Yeah.
Sort of like
that's a term. Also a term that distortion, fuzz, overdrive, it all used to mean the same thing.
Right. Gain.
Yeah. It just, and people would just come in, I want a fuzz pedal, like, and they didn't want a fuzz pedal. They just wanted
their
fuzz
sound to be gritty. Yeah.
So there was never this hierarchy. There was never a continental congress of distortion and overdrive that sat down and figured out this long, it just developed over time, and one man's distortion is another man's overdrive.
Right. And it's like, I guess in those early days, especially big muffs, they were actually labeling it as sustain, not even fuzz or distortion or overdrive. It was, and it's like, and it does sustain, but it seems like that's a secondary feature to what's actually happening to your sound. But so this is
Maxon stuff. Yeah,
they've reissued it, and you can get it for like $100. This one is an original, and I think I also got it for around $100. So not hard to find, but it's pretty cool.
It took so long for people to figure out that Maxon was the same thing as the Ibanez pedals that people were paying. It really took until like 5 years ago.
Yeah,
for Maxon to catch on the way it has.
You mean they were built by the same people in the same factory?
Yeah. Because Maxon, when we saw Maxon in the stores in the 90s. It was a budget brand. It cost less. It looked like a knockoff.
So you were literally just paying for the brand name for Ibanez.
Literally.
Yeah.
Because I think probably Gary in his old store, like in that era, there were Maxon pedals in the store, and just like you can get them through like KMC or one of these distributors, and just like, a few Maxon pedals, I'll put them in the case. Yeah.
When I was growing up, we had the store brand version of the Slip and Slide, was called the Wet Banana.
Okay, yeah.
I still
Still
call
do, yeah.
Slip and Slide the Wet
Wet
Banana
Banana,
because
yeah.
you know what? It's a better name.
Here's a great question. What is a good fuzz pedal?
Well, there's a lot of ways to answer that. My favorite fuzz pedal is the Big Muff, and there are a lot of sort of sub types within that.
You
But
should have bought that triangle Big Muff that
I
we
know,
sold
I
here. I should have kept it. But
yeah.
Yeah.
But
okay, next one.
But I like the way I use fuzz is for that like huge, massive, thick, woolly rhythm guitar. When I plug in a fuzz pedal, I just play Dinosaur Jr. riffs and Smashing Pumpkins riffs because that
was the MX. That was the Electro Harmonics. They all had the big muffs. So that was the only thing you.
Some people prefer the fuzz face type, which is sort of can get loud and big, but it also can clean up. So it's like if you roll your volume back, then it can make more of an overdrive type sound. So that was like made famous by Jimi Hendrix, obviously.
Fuzz face, yeah. From Dunlop now.
Yeah, Dunlop now
sells it. Yeah.
And then there's the Tone Bender, which sort of is the in between. But those are not, I think, were never as common in the States. They were sort of made famous by the Led Zeppelin and British bands.
Oh yeah, right. Yeah.
So they're harder to find and not as widely discussed around this part of the world. But yeah, I would say Fuzz Face and Big Muff Pie are the kind of the staples. And then there's obviously other types that are more experimental, like the Zevex Fuzz Factory, which is this hard to tame beast.
Yeah.
Oh
man. I was lucky. The guy who bought it just bought it.
Yeah.
He's like, yes, I know what it is. I'll take it. I'm like trying to demo that to several people. He's like, no, don't touch that knob. That one has to be down, and this one has to be up. And this sounds great, but if you turn this up anymore, the whole thing just goes
sort
down.
of like the opposite of a Big Muff, where if you turn the sustain or fuzz knob, you basically have to turn it almost all the way off to sound anything other than whoosh, So it there's lots of good fuzz pedals.
That pedal's asking a lot, though. I'd have to say.
The Fuzz Factory?
Yeah. It's asking a lot of the user. Because usually you want, in your demos, you just like. Yeah. So if you haven't seen the Instagram channel, it just runs through the paces. This is what sounds all the way up. This is what sounds halfway up. This is what.
Actually, next week is going to be Fuzz Week, and the Fuzz Factory is one of them. So stay tuned.
Stay tuned for square waves.
Yeah, when you hear the demo that you really, really hate, that one's the Fuzz Factory. Or love it. Some people are crazy about it.
Are either of you guys into mods? Chris Tacato asks. Our old friend Chris. Like the multitude of Rat or Tube Screamer mods. Any mods you recommend? Or
I am not. I don't really know how things work. So I'm not the right person to ask. But there are different varieties of Rat in particular that I like more. So I like the sort of more open, less clipped version. So the Turbo Rat. I think has LED diodes instead of whatever. So that one is more loud and open. And then there's this one I actually bought based on this very informative JHS show about rats called the Ibanez LA Metal, which is it's basically, I think it's a Rat with no clipping diodes. So it's just very loud and open, and I really like it. But no, I don't really know how to modify them or have preferences.
You have a couple modded pedals. I thought you had a JHS. Because when we were ABing when we had one of the original Electro Harmonics Big Muffs. Yeah. And you brought in some of your I brought muffs. In, yeah. And one of them was a JHS modded.
I don't own that anymore. Yeah, okay. But I didn't. But that mod was kind of interesting. It had a separate control so that you could adjust the bias so you could make it either really spitty sounding or that big full sound. I don't think I do have a lot of mod pedals. Well, actually, one pedal I have is the Keeley Super Fat mod. So I guess Keeley kind of made his bones modding blues drivers.
Yeah. That was absolutely the beginning.
And then he just decided he'd make his own and sell it in his own enclosure. So that's the Super Fat mod. So I've got one of those, and that's a really good pedal.
And DS1s too. Who did he do? DS1s?
I think
Yeah.
so. I think a lot of people do DS1s.
Well, yeah, they do now, but like the Keeley was like only DS1s. I was like, there was a. Yeah, I would just see DS1s with a little stamp that said Keeley on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Analog Man does DS1.
What do you think of the DS1?
I have a soft spot in my heart for it, but it is not easy to use. It's not easy to get a great sound out of. For one thing, you've got to crank the volume all the way up for it to like beat unity gain.
Right on there.
And like for a distortion pedal, you want it to be huge, and it's just not.
So you hit the pedal and
But I think that was my first pedal, and so I'll just always have a soft spot.
Yeah,
for it. And it's actually the pedal from my collection that I let my son play with because I know it's indestructible. He'll find a way. He'll bring it into the bathtub.
It's a little controversial because some people are like, this is great. Oh, no, it sucks. Oh, you have to mod it. If you mod it, it's great. If you mod it, you ruined it. That's kind of...
It's one of those things where if someone said it sucks, I wouldn't disagree with them, but I kind of like it anyway. It's like fish or eggs. Like I like eating fish and eggs, but if someone said they didn't like it, I would be like, I understand.
Yeah, that's okay.
That's sort of how I feel about the DS1.
Chris also says we just sold a rat with a special chip from '86 for $400.
Yes, the 308 LN 308 or something.
I got a chance to play my 88-ish rat, which he probably bought at Gary's or Music Warehouse, here in Portsmouth, back to back with it, and they were for all intents identical.
If you have an 88-ish rat, it probably has that chip in it.
Sell it for $400.
Yeah, seriously. Or if you want to sell it to me for less, I'll take it.
88, that's worth nothing. Give me a call.
I think anything before like early 90s had that chip in it. And those are the ones that are selling for big bucks these days.
So we are talking about pedals because we love pedals, but we can talk about anything. So just anyone leave a comment in the chat, and we'll talk about whatever you're into. But we're just going off on pedals today. Yeah, we are.
I do have a couple of other topics, but I also have one more pedal to show and tell.
What about the Nobles ODR1 as far as overdrives go?
Love it. I actually just got one recently and recently demoed it. Go check it out. It's 60-second pedal demos on Instagram. I think that pedal is awesome. It's it's a green overdrive pedal, so you think it's going to be a tube screamer, but it's not a tube screamer. It's by buzzword transparent, which means it sort of maintains your natural tone and just adds dirt to it. And it sounds awesome.
So it's it blends?
No, it just it doesn't change. It doesn't like add frequencies. So like it doesn't add mids. Like the tube screamer kind of bumps your mid range, and this pedal doesn't. Okay. And the big muff scoops your mid range, So transparent tends to mean that it just keeps
no equalization.
Right, exactly. So you can adjust the tone, but it just kind of, I don't know. It's wonderful. I highly recommend it. And I haven't actually tried the original one. I have the mini version, but it sounds awesome.
Recommend it. Michael says my rat might be that old. I have the box. Can I get 500?
Maybe.
Yeah, just wait a couple months. Pedal inflation is real, folks.
Yeah, people are. There's definitely a rat boom right now.
If you use a big muff and turn guitar knob volume down, does it clean up a bit?
Nope.
No.
The fuzz face does, and a tone bender does, but the big muff doesn't. You don't. If you want clean. Don't step on the wrong tree.
There are Electro Harmonics has a good. I like their crayon.
They have a lot of good.
Like Soul Food is their kind of clone. The
East River Drive is a really good tube screamer.
Yeah, we saw that here too. Yeah. So you had another pedal to show off because I got one more too.
Okay. The MXR Phase 95.
Which we have here in the case.
Yes. Yeah. Buy it. I'm not like a phase connoisseur or anything, but I have played this side by side with a like fancy expensive phaser, and I just think that this. I mean, for one thing, it's tiny, but you can do a phase 45 or a phase 90, which is basically like an adjustment of the sort of like intensity level, and or you can turn on the like script. So the different versions of the MXR phasers over the years, and so these two buttons basically adjust the depth of the phase, and then this knob controls the rate, and I I think it sounds awesome. It's the only modulation pedal on my main board, and I just think it's an unheralded winner of a pedal, and I recommend it to all.
Yeah, and do you find a difference? So just more versatility than the Phase 90. The Phase 90 is
Right.
kind of classic, and this has features.
So it's like, you can get a bigger box that only does one thing, or a smaller box that does a bunch of things, and costs close to the same. So yeah,
and when you're talking about pedal real estate, that's important.
Yeah, exactly.
I've never had an opportunity to play my tube amp that loud, but is there a point to say, hypothetically, you're playing your tube amp at max volume? Can a tube amp be damaged by playing it too loud?
The speakers could, right?
Speakers can definitely blown. Yeah, you can work. It can go kind of working at its ideal temperature operating range, and stuff can go sideways, especially if it's an older amp. Like my old Twin, I wouldn't want to crank it up because it's just, I know there's
you
stuff
would
that's
die. Your heart would leap out of your body if you cranked up your Twin.
My Twin, actually, we measured when I had it in here and working on something, and Paul measured the wattage, and it was 130 according to his watt meter, which is like insane. It's impossible, but okay. Yeah, so there's that. It just would blow out your hearing. But still, yeah, some amps are made to be turned up all the way because they don't, look at the 5-watt amps. They don't produce that much heat. Their operating range is pretty stable, but depending on the amp, you might run into some stuff.
Here's a question.
Yeah.
I just got a Fender Vibro Champ.
Yeah.
5-watt little amp. Sounds great, but only when all the knobs are turned all the way up.
Yeah.
So I don't know if it's as loud as it is supposed to get or not.
Yeah.
But do you feel that you can use a 5-watt amp in the context of a band?
It is about 15 to 20% quieter than you would like it to be in the context of a band.
That's what I found. I mean, just playing it without a band, I was like, man, if this thing was just a little bit louder, it would be the perfect sound.
Exactly. Well, I've come up with a solution for that.
Oh,
would you like to hear?
Of course I would.
Okay.
Is it for sale at Gary's Guitars?
Not at Gary's Guitars, but it is for sale.
Okay, tell me.
I bought another Vibro Champ. So I now own 2 Vibro Champs. And you plug them both in and turn them on, and you get twice as loud.
Wow.
And you put them on opposite sides of the stage, and then set the vibratos just a little differently.
And then split them out through a delay pedal like Jimmy
Page.
Exactly.
And then all of a sudden you're Zeppelin.
Yeah. Mini Zeppelin.
If you need to get it's my own Fender Twin. They're twins. Yeah. Twins bezel.
Except with 8-inch speakers, right?
Yeah, 8-inch speakers. Now, having said that, I mean, I thought of changing the speaker, and now that I got 2, you get better bass response with 2, even though like they just pair up better in the low end.
How do they know?
They just know. I mean, they know. I don't know how they know, but they know. Yeah, just those low frequencies are more likely to start overtoning together or whatever. And so you actually get, that's why a 2x12 cab, you just, your improved bass response happens in that too. Just more air moving, gets the low frequencies moving, so to speak.
That's something they talk about a lot on That Pedal Show, which is another. They don't need to shout out from us, but
they need to shout out.
It's an excellent YouTube show that I like to watch and fall asleep to, but not because I don't like it. They are big proponents of the 2 amp setup. Yeah, but usually they're talking about like 2 really expensive fancy amps, that are like, this one's amazing and this one's amazing, and together they're the most amazing. But it's
yes, the Champ is underpowered. 7 watts, which it claims to be, it's probably more like 5, but they claim to be 7. You really need to be 12 to 15 to really play with a drummer.
I did notice on the back it says that it's 3.2 ohms.
Yeah,
that's random.
Yeah, I guess.
Is the point of that it can connect
speaker
to any speaker?
No, but that wasn't the intention. I think so. The lower so when you do, like, if they're like, okay, we want this amp to be 7 watts, let's just do the math and call the ohmage whatever we need to make the math, because it's Ohm's law or whatever. It's just like it's an equation, and so maybe that's, or to claim it was 7, they had to claim it worked at 3.2 ohms instead of 4.
So that's
because 4 would be 1.6 V6. Is there 6 V6 or L6 in there? Can't remember. 6L6. I think there's just 1 6L6. Can't really put out 7 watts. So to call it, the lower your impedance, the higher your wattage.
Why did they think anyone would care if it was 7 watts or 5 watts?
I don't know.
Lucky 7.
No, because there's another company that had a 5-watt amp, and they just went.
So they were one better, two better.
Gary made a great point about back when the original about it was about Fender single coil hum. When this guitar was invented, all the amps were 5 watts. You couldn't hear the single coil hum.
Oh,
it just wasn't a problem. When it only became a problem when people started playing through Marshalls,
right?
And 50 watt and 100 watt and like a bunch of 100-watt amps. It just, no one really thought it was a problem back in the golden age of Stratocaster.
And then it became the iconic duo of the Marshall stack and the humbucker. Yeah.
All right, so I got some catching up to do. People have been talking. We've been jibber jabbing. Hi from MLB. So Melbourne. What do you? Another Australian. It's a morning coffee. Our morning coffee. Yeah. We should have our morning.
You really want to wake up to this?
Yeah. What do you think about the PRS MT15 amp? Do you know this amp?
Nope.
Sorry, I can't help you either on that one. Let's keep going. Mike says, by the way, I couldn't get online last week. Great hour with Bob Halpern. Please say hi for me. Analog delay, that Ross unit from the 80s was really good. Ross pedals. I got 2 Ross pedals, man. And I really like both of them. One's a chorus, one's a phaser, and they're amongst my favorites.
They're pretty similar to MXR, right?
And oh no, the chorus is delicious. It's different. It's super different. You got to hear it sometime.
All right.
But they have positive tip, and the audio ground and the battery ground are like, so essentially you cannot run it on a power supply in a contemporary board. I blew up a diode trying to do it. Man. I was like, but what if I put an insulated Boss Canon, and switch the tip and blah, blah, blah. No. The answer is no. Run it on a battery or even running it on its own power supply. I blew up an outlet in a wall. Plugging it into other like DC,
you gotta earn this pedal.
I literally had to swap an outlet out because it got a little. It did that. Oh
wow,
man, yeah.
So you can't necessarily blow up an amp by playing it too loud, but you can blow up a pedal or
Ross pedal. I think it's just the Ross pedals. But let's keep going here. Nice to see you streaming. I got 2 guitars in 2020. I've known. I just want to let you know I've been learning a lot. I'm really happy with my progress as a musician. Okay, well, thanks. That's great. Thanks for chiming in and saying hi, and thanks for watching to our local and not so local watchers. 2 speakers next to each other produce more bass. We're just talking about that. I put 4 18-inch subwoofers together, and it was scary.
Well, yeah. I would say one 18-inch subwoofer could probably, shake
on
the
stage.
bells.
I play my Vibro Champ through a 212, and OMG, it kicks with a drummer. So yeah, I guess if you get a bigger,
just plug it into a different speaker.
less resistance, a bigger speaker would.
So it makes sense to me that a cabinet with multiple speakers would produce more bass response. But if it's actually in 2 separate amps, I don't understand how.
Yeah, it's just a thing. Try it out.
I will.
It's just the bass teams up a little better
somehow.
Yeah, it just
maybe it's just about what our ears are able to process. That when you hear it, enough of it, then it starts to
it starts to come up in there, or just the relationship of high end to low end. Right. I meant to say about 10 minutes ago, I considered changing out the speaker in my and I talked to the folks at Warehouse, or was it Weber? It was Warehouse, and they knew absolutely everything. They're like, Champ, what year, what chassis, what's your chassis model, and they're like, this Champ needs this speaker, and they just seemed pretty convinced they knew how to wake a Champ up. So
interesting.
You can try swapping out the speaker. You can try running another 4-ohm.
I like that idea. I mean, it's so little that it's smaller than a regular head, an amp head.
Yeah.
So like you could just throw it on top of any cab you've got and give it a whirl.
Oh, I've played a 5-watt Marshall through Marshall 4x12.
Yeah,
it cranks. Yeah.
I will try that. I'm gonna. That'll be my experiment for this week. Is just plugging the Vibro Champ into every cab I have.
Into every cab.
Seeing which one looks the best or sounds the best.
Looks
the best matters too. But
yeah. Well, so the funny thing was you got the Marshall cab and then the little head. It was the little head one of the when the 80s Marshalls, they had a cabinet and a head.
Yeah.
Well, you got a cabinet from one of those.
I did.
A little Marshall cabinet.
Oh, yes.
Days ago.
I still do. Yeah. I thought you were talking about the 410 I used to have.
Yeah. Oh, you no longer have 410.
No, I have a
Okay.
different 410.
Oh, okay. Because I've kept one 410 just because you have to.
A Marshall.
All right. Yes, Marshall,
It's,
good one. Yeah, from 1982
Well,
and 1980. It's
good.
a 1960A. You
Yeah.
know, thick, heavy.
Yeah, I
Take
kind of
the
regret
casters off.
getting rid of the one that I had. And when you sold that big tall stack with the two 410s,
yeah.
I thought about
That's pretty
it for the sake of the 410 cab more than for the
Yeah,
header.
for the head. But you could have bought that, sold the head for $1,200 because we essentially we're selling the head and giving away the speaker cabinets with it. The heads.
Well, I would have taken the speaker cabinets.
Yeah. Because just because people, I mean, hey, the trend is stop for huge cabinets.
Yeah.
People come in with Marshall cabinets. Someone came in with a Ampeg SVT, and I was like, sorry.
The fridge. Though
Yeah.
that story from the I think it was your episode with Bob about Gary Schritz.
Oh, Straczynski.
I was like, oh man.
Yeah.
That's
Just like, let me get that, buddy.
Yeah. That's diesel right there.
Yeah. No, do not mess with the shredder.
No, I won't.
That guy.
My son, 3.5-year-old son, sorry, I talk about it so much. He loves Polka Party.
Oh yeah, that's great.
Because
polka music is happy
Happy
music. If you don't know about Polka Party, it's on WUNH. You can listen to it all over the world through their site. So check it out. Gary Straczynski does a weekly polka show, and it's got some obscure and cool stuff. And he plays polkas too. Like people call in request polkas, and he's an encyclopedic knowledge.
Yeah,
of polka.
it's something to look forward to every Saturday morning.
Yeah, Saturday mornings. So look that
or
up.
anytime on the internet.
Yeah. And I was like, you got to make this into a podcast, man. He's like, I want to. He's been trying to quit doing it for 20 years. He's been doing it for 30 years. He wanted to quit it for 20, but
you don't get the sense that he's not having fun.
But he's having fun while he does it. He just doesn't like. But he doesn't like going there because he goes to the station and does the. But also, he doesn't want to let the Polish grandmothers down. Really.
He's their ambassador.
Yeah, they love his show. They call up and ask for the old songs. He knows all the old songs.
He should just go to all their houses and download Spotify onto their
for them.
Here, listen to this.
Now you can listen to polka without me. No, it's not the same. I know that's a good time to be had. All right, so it's coming up to that hour called the Wrap It Up Hour when we have our biggest audience of the whole show. We finally get a bunch of people out there, but we're going to have to go. So thanks again for watching. Once again, to plug 60-second pedal demos on Instagram. You can go there now if you want. Like, comment, share, all that stuff. And thanks again to Peter for hanging out, talking about pedals and everything else. And we'll be back here next Wednesday with another cool surprise guest.
Do you know who it is yet? Or is it a surprise to you?
No, it's not a surprise to me. I just don't know. He's in the chat. He watches the show, but he uses a pseudonym. So I don't know if he wants his real name, but he has a very interesting.
Larley Charance.
Yeah, Larley Charance. No, he has a very interesting side hustle job. He works for an auction house, evaluating the authenticity of museum quality instruments.
Oh, cool.
He recently sold, I think, he helped sell a Ramones, the upside down Strat thing. The Mozart, yeah. Just really like an amp that the Beatles used, like that kind of stuff.
Cool.
So it's going to be a good show. Tune in for that. Thanks again to Peter. Thanks again for everyone. Stand by for the end.
Bye-bye.
Say good night, Peter.
Good night, Peter.
See, at least you know that. Hold on. There's a delay before the